Why do we practice the exercise elevation? What do we gain by that? By an elevation, you purify your higher spiritual being, your soul. If we want to use a scientific expression, we may say, you put your eternal individuality in a state of higher vibrations. Thus, particles which are susceptible to lower vibrations are driven out of your soul. Instead, you fill your spiritual being with particles which are responsive to higher vibrations. We have already talked about this phenomenon in our broadcasting on meditation. During elevation, you experience. It is indeed possible to return to the original state of purity in which you were created. What remains to be done is only to preserve this elevated state of mind permanently down in the valley. Then you can completely get rid of the bad qualities under which you are suffering, of the dirt which tarnishes the gold of your soul. You are strengthening the power of your soul. Your eternal individuality grows and becomes stronger when it strives to control both itself and the material conditions. The power over yourself is the source of your power over the circumstances. During elevation, you take up energy from space. You refill your supply of psychic energy, this spiritual force on which all your possibilities and higher abilities are based. After an elevation, you are again full of vitality. Fundamentally, man was striving to create a particularly exalted state of mind, thereby promoting the reception of higher energies. You experience your soul, your eternal individuality can rejoice even when your body suffers. Your perishable personality does not have much to laugh about, indeed, in everyday life, down in the valley. Therefore, elevation is the only way to regain your joy of being in every situation, to transform suffering into joy, and to turn difficulties and distress into opportunities for your further spiritual ascent. In the state of elevation, our knowledge grows. Another means of cognition is man heroically uplifts his consciousness and then observes manifestations from above. Thus, the most complex manifestations will appear to be below his consciousness and will be easily apprehended. On the summit, we are closer to heaven and thus to truth than in the valley. The meaning will be clear when you will look from the mountain tops. From the standpoint up there, we can see the life down in the valley more clearly. That what lies beneath us is easier to understand. Mundane occurrences are best seen from the summit. The higher one ascends, the broader and more powerful is the vision. And the more powerful the vision, the stronger the fusion into oneness. Up here, our inner senses, above all the heart, are more open to the streams of knowledge which are continuously pouring down from the spiritual world to the earth at any moment. Standing on the peaks where one may look down and understand, the world thunders its truth to the inner self, the inner senses. In the valleys, however, are but the whisperings of this truth, not easily heard, and most easily misunderstood. Every one of us feels from time to time the urgent desire to leave for a moment the everyday world with all its difficulties and distress. For this, however, you should not take refuge in watching television or visiting a football match. It is much more creative to build your own wonderful world, your personal paradise, on the top of a mountain, and to visit it regularly during elevation. When our consciousness is completely transported into the domain where there is no fear and depression, then we are invulnerable to any filth. Then you actually fly to a better world, to your true supra-temporal homeland. Hopeless grief reigns simply because of the inability to think or to imagine. No one cares to develop the imagination, but without these wings it is impossible to soar to the higher spheres. Nothing base or low comes near to you here, no enemy and no trouble. One must think loftily in order to rise above the dust. Such an ascent is the right way to free yourself from the misery of the world. When it is so burdensome on the earth, thought can lift itself up to the supermundane spheres. The practice of elevation is the best way to get rid of cravings or bad habits. For example, smoking, alcohol, sweets, overeating, of negative thoughts, of false attitudes such as doubt, anxiety, suffering, irritation, depression, moods, sadness, and of other encumbering properties. In the state of elevation, you are redeemed from all this, as in a church or a concert hall. You can learn to recreate this state of higher vibrations every time you threaten to crash. Thus, step by step, you will change your habits and with them your nature, and actually become immune to such lower vibrations. This spiritual way is better than a diet or other external measures, because thereby you can eradicate the tormentors from within you and drive them out once and for all. There is so much talk about the man of the future. On the mountain peak, you feel that you can reach this higher level. Indeed, that you have already reached it for the moment. The new man differs from the old one by the elevated state of his consciousness, which we have described with purity, power, and joy of being. In our meditation, you have created this state. As long as you succeed to preserve it in material, earthly life, you are indeed a new man. Even the spiritual man seeks pleasures, but not material ones. It is not goal-fitting to forbid yourself or others the gross earthly delights, or to suppress them artificially. The better way is, fill your life with higher, with spiritual pleasures. Besides them, the desire for the lower material enjoyments will eventually die down by itself. It is so easy to say that people should not drug themselves, but one should show them elevated paths. So enjoy the magnificent state of elevation. Rejoice up there at the majesty of the world and the greatness of your soul. This is the only joy which is possible always and everywhere, even in the most terrible external circumstances. No other joys can be compared with those spiritual exaltations which are experienced by the true disciple. The exercise elevation allows everyone to transform into a new man. Within a moment, you become a higher being. It allows everyone at any time and in any place to live in his personal heaven, in a new world. It creates a true transfiguration of your life, independent of the external conditions. Would you not like to be rather great than small, rather pure than unclean, powerful than weak, joyful than sad, healthy than sick, above than below, sublime than depressed? Would you not prefer to live in a beautiful rather than in an ugly world?